right, so we're here with John Montgomery, and we're going to talk a little bit about Popfly. So first tell me, how big is the Popfly team?
There are about 15 of us working on the project right now. Most of us are developers, and then there's a little bit of management overhead.
Okay, and what exactly is Popfly?
Popfly is a website and tool that's designed to make it very easy for people to build mashups and embed them in their Facebook page or their Windows Live Spaces page or their blog. So it's kind of about tricking out your presence online using mashups.
What type of person do you see using Popfly the most?
We're getting a whole bunch of different kinds of people into the site right now, from pretty advanced early adopters who are doing really sophisticated development using blocks, all the way through to 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who have no programming experience and are just looking for a way to add some bling to their Facebook page.
And you were telling me that you launched this at Maker Faire, is that correct?
We did. We launched it at Maker Faire in, I think, May earlier this year, and it was a fascinating event. I mean, there were 20, 30,000 people coming through and demos of everything from fire eating to low-emission vehicle cars, and then Microsoft had a presence there, and Popfly was there, and we actually set up a little booth, and we were having people painting the Popfly dock.
Nice. Excellent. And what type of people do you think had the best response to Popfly? Did people understand what it was when you first talked to them, or they kind of it take them a while to figure out what exactly it would be used for?
I'd say that you kind of got two broad groups of people. You got a lot of people who came up from the tech industry, because it was down in the Silicon Valley, who were kind of my age, and they basically scratched their heads. They were professional developers. They would scratch their heads and say, I don't get it. And then you got the 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds who came up and immediately got what it was for, were enthused about it. So I think we're seeing kind of a generational gap between the old school hardline programmers and these people who were born and brought up on the web. They had a MySpace page from the time they were 7. They don't understand a world that doesn't have the internet in it.
Mm-hmm. So this was invitation-only beta. And when is this going to be available to the general public? Today,
actually. Steve Ballmer earlier today announced that we are opening it to the public so that anybody who has a Windows Live ID can just go to popfly.com, log in, and immediately get an account and play around.
It's an interesting name. It's not the typical Microsoft name. So how did that come about?
Well, left to our own devices, we probably would have named it something clever like Microsoft Visual Consumer Enthusiast Tool for Building Mashups, Express Edition, RC, something or other. But Sanity
have to have some numbers in there, too.
Absolutely. We probably have an R2, a couple of version numbers in a year. The good news is Sanity prevailed, and a couple of our marketing guys said, you probably want to call this something that's going to appeal a little bit more to people who are used to names like Google or Live.
Yeah.
And so we actually hired an outside firm, and they suggested a litany of names ranging from things like Cherry Crunch all the way through to Popfly. And ultimately, we all liked Popfly. We thought it worked really well. When we asked people about it, they all said, yeah, I like Popfly. So
and they were probably
Popfly.
Wearing all black as they...
Oh yeah, it was definitely the room full of people, all wearing black, throwing names around.
Yeah. So let's take a look here.
All right. I'll show you. It's very easy to create a mashup in Popfly. When you log in, you'll get the Popfly homepage, and right on it there's a link for create a mashup, and I'll show the simplest possible mashup, which is...
So I'm brand new to this. Where should I start? I mean, is there like a tutorial that I should look at, or do I just dig in and start dragging stuff?
Well, actually, you can do a bunch of different things. You can absolutely just leap into it and start dragging and dropping. No harm will be done. Nothing will happen to your computer. It's basically a Silverlight application on the web. Mm-hmm. So until you click save, nothing really happens.
Yeah.
When you hit the Popfly homepage, we give you a set of starter kits that you can work from. So if you want to build a different kind of mashups and so on, you'd like to build a little photo tile application or put some photos on a map, things like that. We give you some examples to go through. And right here in the designer surface on the right-hand side is a guided tutorial, which will walk you through the 5-step mashup to show you exactly how to do it. It'll show you more tutorials, examples, video demos. So there's a bunch of stuff in there specifically targeted at somebody who's never used Popfly before.
Yeah.
But I'll build the simplest of all possible mashups right now. It's a 2-item mashup, and what I'm going to do is pull some photos from Flickr, and I will drop them first onto Virtual Earth and just show how that works. You just click to draw a line between the two. It tells Flickr to send its output to Virtual Earth.
And you kind of see it there in the background.
Yep, we get a little quick preview. And I'm going to pull up some photos of beaches. I'll pull back 15 of them, and I'll just tell it to preview this. and it goes to Flickr, calls the Flickr web service, pulls back the photos, puts them on a map.
How does it know where to put it on the map?
Those photos that are uploaded to Flickr, a whole bunch of them are what are called geotagged. So when the person uploaded it, either their camera or they actually typed in the latitude and longitude, and Flickr actually exposes a specific call you can make just to get geotagged photos and no other photos.
Okay.
A different thing you could do actually to show a different kind of photo you can get back from Flickr, let's get rid of virtual Earth. You can tell the Flickr block to suggest something that might work well by clicking on the little light bulb, and I'll pick photo tiles because it's kind of simple, which is a little Silverlight app. And in Flickr, instead of getting geotagged photos, I'll just get photos, and I'll pull back photos of cats, and I'll just get 9 of them to fill up the little tile. And when I click preview here, you get a different preview, you get a different result, you get cats like this. And I can save this and call it cats on a tile.
And where can I use this? How do I share this with other people?
That's exactly what I'm showing right now. The first thing you have to do is to save it. So that saves it up to the Popfly website. And once it's saved up there, it's yours and yours only. Only you can see it. It's private. And then what you'll do is you'll go through to your projects page and the project details for that page. And you'll be able to click share. And once you share it, anybody in the world can see it. It gets its own unique URL. And you get a bunch of different options for what you can do with it. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you will see things like being able to embed it in Facebook, to run it as a Windows Vista sidebar gadget, to embed it in Windows Live Spaces, to email it to a friend. I'll say, we'll make this a Windows Live Spaces gadget. And that'll take us through into Windows Live Spaces. It logs me in with the same Windows Live ID I had before. And I just click Install. And now, on my site, you can actually see I have a couple of these Popfly gadgets running. And they'll load and they'll pull up the photos. And so now everybody who visits my Windows Live Spaces page, all 4 of them, hi Mom, will actually be able to see some cats that I've put up there on this little tile. And of course that works with any output format. So because we support what's called iframes, you can embed our videos just the same way you embed like a YouTube video or a soapbox video by copying that little iframe text and putting it anywhere. We've just made it easy to embed in things like Facebook and Windows Live Spaces.
But I can just grab that code and put it anywhere. I can put it in my page or anywhere that I want.
It's very easy.
So there's an icon up in the corner of that. And so I've looked around at these, and apparently you can borrow from others.
Absolutely.
You can customize this for your own. So if you see one that someone likes, or you see something that someone's done that you like, you can take that as kind of like a stepping stone to build your own.
Yep.
Is that for all the Popfly things that get embedded?
Yep. It's for all Popfly things, period. So I'll show you.
What if someone's done some custom code? Does it share that as well?
Yes. So the whole idea about Popfly is that it's built the same way the web is built. If you go to somebody's MySpace page and you see the way they've tricked it out and you really want to steal that, you do view source and you get the code for that. The Popfly idea is the same thing but applied to much more complicated applications. So when you see something you like, you can click the little fly out up here and you'll get the Customize It link, which then drops you immediately back into Popfly, into what we call our tweak user interface. And tweaking is a lot simpler than actually building a mashup. It gives you the ability to modify basic...
You're already halfway there.
You're already halfway there. And so instead of searching for cats, I can search for dogs, dogs, and I say go, and it's going to do the Flickr search for dogs instead.
Cool.
And then if I really want to do something advanced, I could drop into more, which would take me right back into the
now,
mashup
is that
editor.
all general Flickr pictures, or is that specific to your Flickr account?
So this one is all general Flickr pictures. You can search just for a specific set of tags, a specific user account on Flickr. If Flickr, the web service in the sky, actually exposes a bunch of really sophisticated methods, and we offer up most of them in a much simpler form. So yeah, you can do pretty much whatever you want.
Cool.
The other thing I was about to show was all the projects on the site are actually rippable as well. So there's one of our users named James, and I'll search for him right now, has done a lot of really interesting work in building very sophisticated output blocks, what we call output blocks, the little Silverlight applications. So when I search for James, I'm probably going to find the James, the 4-star James is the one I want, because he's done such interesting things. And he's done a bunch of really cool stuff. This particular one, Facebook Asteroids, is a game where when you run it, it calls Facebook, and it pulls back the photos of your friends on Facebook, and then it pulls them into an asteroids game. And you can then play asteroids and shoot at pictures of your friends.
Cool.
So click the screen, and then
Nice.
I can chase after her. And if I liked this, I could make my own copy of it. I can vote on it, do things like that. I give it 5 stars.
Put that up on your own site.
Wherever you want. Yep.
Excellent. So how many different blocks are there?
Right now, we, the Popfly team, have built about 60 of them, and our community has built well over 300 of them. So we expect lots more too.
The different things that I can bring into Popfly, is it a walled garden where I have to use Flickr or Facebook, or can I just have this for any RSS feed I want, or any? I can build my own mashup.
You can build your own mashup using pretty much any data source you want. We are able to pull in any arbitrary RSS feed. So if I were to go and create a mashup, we have an RSS block, and you can point it at an RSS feed, and it'll extract the RSS, and then you can display it in a bunch of different ways. Or if you want to do something sophisticated that's not an RSS feed, that's really an API on the web, like what Flickr has, like a JSON API, you can build a block that'll query the JSON API and make it very easy for users to use it. And that's actually what the bulk of these 300 people who built the blocks have done, is gone and looked at a very complicated service, say Virtual Earth, and they've built a block that calls into that service.
Cool. So I've heard a little bit about Dapper. What is Dapper?
Dapper is actually a cool service run by a company called Dapper, and it is kind of an HTML screen scraper that's all based on the web. So if you go to www.dapper.net, you will be guided through a process of creating what they call a DApp, which you basically pointed at a bunch of web pages that look basically the same, so like YouTube video search results. And you tell it the regions of the screen you're interested in from a search result, and it will generate XML as the output. Now this is really useful for Popfly. We built a block that can import any DApp, because there are a lot of websites out there that don't have RSS as the data format.
Yeah.
They have no APIs, there's no way to get at the data. I was just playing with one the other day. It was in Chesapeake Bay, Maryland, and it returned basically the water information about the salinity and things like that for fishing. And they didn't have an RSS feed. But I was able to use Dapper to actually go into this government website and pull out the information I needed in order to build a little mashup for a friend of mine.
And then that gives you some XML that you can use with Popfly and just bring it in.
Yep, you just click on the Dapper block, pull it in, point it at the DApp, and presto, you're golden, you're running.
So what is this most similar to? Is this like, what's the difference between this and Yahoo Pipes?
So there are a couple of products out there that are kind of similar to this. Each one has taken a kind of different bent on who it is they want to go after. The two biggest ones you hear about probably most of the time are Yahoo Pipes and Microsoft Popfly. And Yahoo Pipes is very focused on data. It's kind of a data in, data out kind of thing. And it's pretty powerful if you've ever played with it. But the idea is you point it at a collection of RSS feeds or XML data sources. It brings them together, aggregates them, can perform simple operations on them, and then hands you RSS as the output or XML as the output. With Popfly, we can do much the same stuff in terms of pulling different XML data feeds, but we concentrated much more heavily on having the output be visually appealing. So something like a Virtual Earth map or a Silverlight application, something where you actually are tying the visual display of the information through to the information itself and building a real kind of an application that has UI on it out of it.
Excellent. And what do you think the next steps are for Popfly?
I think once we get through this iteration, which is coming in fast and hard, I think we're going to be looking a lot at actually building some really interesting applications on top of Popfly that show what it can do, and embedding them in blogs and getting stuff there. I think we're going to be doing a lot more work with our Visual Studio integration for the hardcore developers out there who are really wanting to use like Visual Web Developer to build very rich web pages with CSS and stuff like that. And I think we're going to do a lot more work in the future to pull in even more web services from major directories of web services, so people have more data sources to work with.
So we'll probably see more blocks start appearing too, both from Microsoft and from the community.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to dive in and start playing with it. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.